Coming up, what does it take to make the Super Rugby finals? We look at the teams and their chances. Plus, Black Ferns coach Glenn Moore and the new Ferns captain are live in the studio as we announce the 2019 Black Ferns squad, tonight on The Breakdown.
Hello and welcome to The Breakdown. Thanks for joining us tonight. A very special night. Our privilege on behalf of New Zealand Rugby to announce the Black Ferns for 2019. They've got 6 test matches in front of them. Looking forward to talking to Glenn Moore and the new captain for this season. But of course, there was a Super Rugby season where there was some great action over the weekend. It's getting very close in this competition. We're going to debate where the New Zealand team sit right now and can they make it to the playoffs. Here's my team. We've got a new recruit. It's been a while. Carl Tanana, welcome back.
I feel like I've graduated, Jeff.
Well, you were never on the show when I was here. It wasn't my decision. But welcome back. It's great to have you with an hour-long show, a quality show on a Tuesday night.
There it is.
So John Kerwin, Ali Williams, I know where you guys will want to start. We will get to that in a moment. But I want to go through our moments of the weekend, what we liked, what we didn't like, what we loved. Ali, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, my moment's a little different. I mean, you know my love affair with referees, so I thought I'd just jump into this one and see what people think, because am I losing it or is he losing it? Well, look at this. It's a game of rugby, 2 teams. Oh, he's in there, the ref's in there.
What's he going to do? Continuity in a game.
What's he going to do? It's ridiculous. Anyway, righto players, let's sort it out. Get out of the way, mate. Oh, sorry, Chief, I got him.
Is that a tackle assist and a line out?
It's definitely numbers for the players. I mean,
Did he actually roll that guy out?
Yeah,
pulled him out.
I mean, what is going on with
I
referees?
spent 2 years trying to teach you how to do that.
He's got more rucks than me.
Do you know it's official? He's just been named the referee that's going to take the World Cup final.
Beautiful.
Egon seconds.
Egon seconds.
All right, people at home.
It.
No, he hasn't. All right. Let's talk now about a stadium, a wonderful stadium. And my moment is every moment there is a game in Dunedin at Forsyth Bar, because no matter who plays against the Highlanders, and whether or not it's Otago, whoever goes down there, the All Blacks, you see a quality game of rugby. There are no conditions to stop teams. You go out and watch the best of not the Highlanders, not just the Highlanders, the Chiefs, the Jaguares, everything. Look, just more tries, more action. You get your money's worth every single time you turn up. I could keep talking about this, but my Auckland friends, but hold on. Reality is, you want a contest, you want to be entertained.
No.
It happened.
2 minutes and 20 seconds it took you to mention the Highlanders. I was timing you tonight. And value for money, I don't know, is it the Otago City Council that's getting value for money, or
not
you,
just rugby.
the Highlanders paying you?
I'm just talking about entertainment. I'm just talking about if you go
So
there.
for any new sponsors, please contact Jeff at jeffwilson@hotmail.com.
And what happened to you last weekend
Forsyth
down
Bar.
there? Where did you go?
Oh, actually, yeah, I got invited to the Jeff Wilson Lounge.
There
Funny
it
that.
is.
Please.
Hey, had to pay double.
Mate, Space Lounge, you would have got invited. There's no doubt about that. All I'm saying is great quality of rugby. All right, then, it's your friends, the Jaguares. And where were they, JK?
Oh, there it is.
It's your own fault. You picked your moment.
In the garage.
Forget about the stadium, forget about the roof. Although we do want one in Auckland, but anyway, that's another story. Watch this. This team, the Jaguares, or the Jaguars as I call them, have actually scored some of the best tries, and I just love the skill level of this team. Like, most other teams there would have tried to pass it. Great little kick. Beautiful, look at that. It's a good try, Ali.
It's not windy, it's not wet, it's perfect. You can execute all the skills you want to
It's
execute.
the soccer flair, isn't it?
And
He'll send us invoice tomorrow down
yeah, and I'll tell you what, the
Harping on
other
him.
thing too is it was against the Highlanders, and that's why you picked it. But that's fine, I can understand that. We'll get to the other teams to talk about. KT, welcome and go.
It's a bit chilly there. My moment has to be, as you being a former coach of the Blues, you being a former coach and Ali, former captain, you love this. Geordie Barrett was outstanding with his defence. Absolutely brilliant. I think he
on this show.
I mean, one, he makes a tackle, yeah, a short, right? You know what, I'll get up and I'll stop the hardest man ever to run the ball. No try.
That was a try.
That led.
What do you mean no try? How do we know?
Mate, look, it's over the line.
No way, no try. He does it again. I mean, honest to G, this guy's set the tempo for the Hurricanes.
He did play well, didn't he?
He
really
was
stood up and
outstanding.
said, hey.
See?
But I do need
Consensus
to know.
for this.
No, he was outstanding. I thought he really took a step up defensively. But can I just ask a question, Ali?
Always, John.
Why didn't they go upstairs for Mars' try?
Well, it's not a try unless it's in the scorebook, right? So it's...
Yeah, but everywhere else they went upstairs. Why wouldn't you go upstairs?
If Egon Seconds was there, he would have been right in that
Exactly.
tackle.
It's a little dysfunctional. Now, can I just clear up something here? We do have that counter show. I mean, I don't know who they've got on it, some bunch of morons, nimwits. Can we just have a look at this clip and just see what angle they're working at here?
Well, first of all, Ali, you're not contracted the last I heard, so you're a ringing mate, but I said you help us here, but...
He's saying that I've lost my brain cell. Okay. The guy there was talking, he does poo cutters to the sky. There's no one there to do it, mate. Okay? And he wants to get into me.
Do we have evidence of him losing some of his?
Surely.
Oh, he really did.
That was a big
It was a great line from Chevelle there, it must be said.
I'm proud of the kid because that was the first attempt at tackle he's ever made. He didn't make it, but he tried. You know, he tried to make one, which is brilliant.
That's tough, but I just want to take this time to formally apologise to all Sky viewers for wasting half an hour. I don't even know how long that show is. For an hour of your time, you can't get it back.
There's a
listening
war
to
going
morons like that. But I think what we should do is we should actually reiterate what great rugby players they were. So let's have a little look at this, eh?
Yeah. Right.
Fantastic, Israel. That is exactly how you tackle. And look at you, watching your mate score a try. Keep on going, Chief. Best to sit behind the camera this time, eh?
Oh, good clap back, Ali. Good clap.
Magic, eh? What a goose.
Magic.
I could just see something being ongoing for a long time.
I just can't believe Sky even got these clowns in the show. Come to a proper TV show, listen to this, and get educated.
All right, that's enough of the... that's not real news. That's probably fake news. Let's get some real news from Steph. Steph, what's been happening actually in the world of rugby?
Actually, in the world of rugby, it's been a little bit of a slow week for Super Rugby this week, news-wise, but it has been a great week for our Black Ferns Sevens.
In news this week, the Black Ferns Sevens have returned to their winning ways after beating Australia in the final of the Canada Sevens, taking home the trophy for the third straight time. Ronan O'Gara is leaving the Crusaders. He's set to sign a 3-year deal with French club La Rochelle. And in an All Blacks injury update for you, the Highlanders will have the services of Waisaki Noholo for their trip to South Africa. Liam Squire and Jackson Hemopo have stayed home, both nursing injuries. And Sam Cane could be back as soon as this weekend to play for the Chiefs after 6 months off for a neck injury. And Matt Tomoa has returned to Australia from the Leicester Tigers in hopes of cracking that Wallabies World Cup side. He is likely to start for the Rebels this weekend, replacing the injured Quade Cooper.
And in some extra news this week, the Saracens have won the European Champions Cup final. They made it their third title after winning 2010 over Leinster. And we found this wee gem on social media, which sums up one of the Saracens' good players, really.
Big Billy, eh?
Big Bill.
Billy.
Billy.
He was a tricky man to bring down. Holy.
Monster, eh?
I've got to ask Steph here a quick question, actually. Steph, the fact there was talk today, someone mentioned it in the media. Saracens win the Northern Hemisphere. If the Crusaders win out and win it, and it wasn't a World Cup year, would you like to see that game?
Here we go. Yeah, yes, I would actually. Yeah, I would love to see how they matched up.
You guys? Where
Bring
would
it
you
on.
see how? Would you just bring it on?
Bring it on.
Definitely.
So a World Cup year is probably not going to fit, but in another year, like you say, it's very similar timing. You're saying there's about 6 weeks to go in the Northern Hemisphere. You all of a sudden see the Southern Hemisphere champion, whether it be the Crusaders or whoever. Does it make sense?
We've got to do games like this to create difference in our rugby. We've got to create excitement. Who's playing this year? Who's playing next year? Who won? There's got to be rewards for teams that are on momentum shifts, which are getting good performance. And you know the best thing, Goldie? We could almost play a game like this down in Dunedin to actually give you a proper game of rugby, you know.
Proper
Two
game of
great
rugby. We
teams,
get one every week. Have you not been
championship
watching?
teams.
I think that
This is the best idea you've come up in a long time.
I think the important thing for me is, like, I love in rugby league state of origin. It becomes a tradition. I disagree with you when you say not this year. I think it has to be a fixture. Every year you have that game. I used to love North-South. I thought North-South was a great concept in New Zealand rugby. But you can't go, I'm going to have it this year, not have it that year, because you create an event in what becomes a tradition. Look at the state of origin. I'm watching it. Are you a... cockroach or a...
Blues.
Yeah.
Blues all day.
No, Blues all day.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Look at the league boys, they do it. They have the championship. The NRL plays the Super League. They have it every year. I mean, our game should be advancing big enough to create these spectacles. At the end of the day, we are a form of entertainment now. We're not just a sport, we're a form of entertainment. We've got to keep growing what we provide people.
Yeah, you think about the marketing you could put around that and the bragging rights you get off that. You know, the Northern Hemisphere might, no, they'll never win, but the Southern Hemisphere, you know, and you could do it even like the Champions League. You'd have it away at Real Madrid Stadium.
If we brought back North-South, would the South have a team?
Would we have a team?
Just a question.
Of course we'd have a team.
Oh, just asking.
Wow.
It depends where they originated from.
Yeah,
so if it was from where you're born, they might struggle. Do you hear there was two original players from Dunedin in the Highlanders team? Great breeding.
Yep. Well, when you've got a stadium like that, you're prepared to move.
Oh.
That's where you want to play. You want to play in perfect conditions. That's where you want to go down there. Especially if you're a goal kicker. Okay, but all of that would happen on the back of the playoffs of Super Rugby, and we'd have to have finalists. We are going to look at now where everyone's sitting, the New Zealand teams, as we get to the back end of Super Rugby, and this is the position of your team. The Blues have got a game in hand. We shouldn't forget about that. But there they go. They're on 21 points, 23 from the Chiefs. The Highlanders on 29, 40 and 47. We just look here, the number of wins that they have, 9, 9, 5, 4 and 4. That's where the teams are sitting right now. The Highlanders and Chiefs have had 2 draws each, so that's essentially as good as 1 win. OK, so keep that in mind. So let's have a look back now in 2018 about what it took to make the playoffs. So the top team were the Crusaders. They had 63 points. The bottom team, who qualified 8th, were the Sharks on 36. So there's your bottom number in 2018. So, of course, the Hurricanes, they got a home quarter because they were the 4th qualifying team because of the conference system. Took on the Chiefs, Lions, Jaguares, Waratahs and Highlanders. Now, there's how it plays out. That's your number you're chasing. You're looking for that number. I've done a hypothetical. OK, let's look at the top 8 as it stands right now. The overall of Super Rugby, these are the finalists. The Crusaders and Brumbies and Sharks, the leader of their conferences. The Hurricanes, the highest points for the other team. And then the Highlanders, Rebels, Bulls and Jaguares. 29, 28, 28, 28. So it tells you there is a lot to play for in the rest of the season. Now, I look at what is in front of a number of teams. Most teams have either got 4 or 5 games to go in the competition, a possible 20 to 25 points, somewhere around there. So I looked at it and I looked at it in depth. That the way I see it, you're probably going to have to sit between 38 to 40 points to make the playoff, to qualify 8th. So that means we look at the bottom team. Let's start with the Blues, who are sitting on 21 points right now.
So you're
saying 5 games left.
Saying 3 wins would get to last year's results?
Yes, 3 wins with bonus points.
With bonus points plus 3 normal ones, so they need to win all their games.
With 5 games. They've got 5 games to go, though. So when we talk about the Blues and we talk about where they're at and the performance on the weekend...
Yeah, but 5 with 5 points takes them to, what,
So do
41.
we believe, given what they've got and where they're at, are they good enough for the next 5 games that have 3 derbies?
So you're
I personally felt...
There's a chance.
There's always a chance.
There's always a chance.
Of course there's a chance.
There's a chance.
The remaining games, though. Look at their remaining games.
I personally felt that last week was the Blues test match, and I knew there was a chance, but if you don't win last week, then it just mounts up. So they can't drop a game, right?
So let's talk about the weekend, though. The fact that against the Hurricanes, a team they could make ground up on it, was it a game where they missed the opportunity? Were they unlucky? Did they not get the rub of the green, or were they not just quite good enough in the critical moment?
Why don't we place it like this? I don't think, and I'm a Blues man through and through, I don't think they deserve to be in the playoffs because they should be clinching games like this to be in the playoffs. Teams that should be in the playoffs should be clinching games. They had the Hurricanes on this, and they should have got it. KT, for me, you've got to win these games for you to be a team in the playoffs.
And they put themselves in a position to win this. They should have probably won this twice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think the thing that stands out for me with the Blues team, overall, I think that lack of, I don't know if it's leadership, but decision-making. You have to be fluid in your decision-making, be able to change your game plan. First 40, fine. That second 40, you knew the Hurricanes were going to adjust. You have to adjust accordingly. I don't think they can.
First 40, though, we were sitting there watching the game. They're up 7-0, and we've talked about them on the show before. They had a penalty that was a gimme. Why not take the 3?
Yeah, well, I agree with you, Goldie, because for me, for the Blues last week, it was test match football. And when I say test match football, I mean, you know, the defence, like KT's already mentioned, was outstanding from the Hurricanes. You had the ball for 20 minutes, like 75% of across the game. Take your 3 points. 7 turns to 10. You know, even some of those longer shots, you're starting to put the Hurricanes under pressure, and then they stop giving away penalties, and you know, the flow changes. They had, and it's really interesting what you just put up, Jeff, because you can't tell me the players don't feel that table pressure. And last week was Test match. No pressure on the Hurricanes, and they look more composed. We looked like we had to win. The Blues looked like they had to win, and I just couldn't believe they didn't take their points. 12 points.
We've had so many conversations, though, Ali. We talk about it. Nothing's changed in their key positions yet of first five and halfback. The two guys, young men trying to make the grade at first five, not a lot of experience there, and halfbacks at the same time who are not in great form. So the conversation hasn't changed with the Blues yet.
No, it hasn't, and you're quite right. It is still personnel, but I do come back to where New Zealand rugby's ethos is in terms of where do we place points pressure. Because to me, the Blues had to win all class. We talk about Test rugby. Well, in Test rugby when I was playing, way back, it was about pressure. Pressure is a privilege to those that want to accept it. Pressure is also creates and makes you do things you don't want to do. And we're not doing it for the youth or the generations playing now. Value points pressure. So to me, I wonder how we can help them to understand it.
Yeah, and I think KT raised a really valid point. Like, for me, they were taking more shots at goal 4 weeks ago than they did the other night. So you go, with all that possession, you've got to give credit to the opposition. So the leadership, like, forget about the 9 and 10. I understand they're young, but take your shot. And if you miss it, you're learning as a young guy. But where's the leadership saying? But there's no leadership on the field at the end of the game, though.
But we look at it, right. Can they make the shifts they need to make in 7 days, 8 days this weekend? It was from the weekend. They're going to take on the Chiefs. So there is no coming back from this, probably for both of these sides in terms of the Super Rugby competition. So can they get better? Much better they need to be this week to then push on in the competition.
I think that's the main thing they would have gone into their review and come out of it, is like taking those points. You know, like you said, they're the best team at holding possession. So as you see, keep compiling points, Pete, up, and that forces the Chiefs. But it's funny what you said about the mentality of taking those points. Kieran Reid for the Crusaders, after they drew with the Sharks, said exactly the same thing. Should have taken the points, didn't take them, and ended up with a draw, luckily. Yes. I think it's a mind shift.
And so I think if it's Test match football, the Blues can still make it. That's great news for us who support them. But take your points. Yeah. Everything inside their half, have a go. Because it creates pressure on the opposition.
You can make up ground too. Given the games that they do have, the fact that they've got New Zealand teams, derby games, they can make up ground against teams. And at the moment, the team they would be chasing are the Highlanders, right? Yeah. OK, so let's shift and talk about their opposition now from the weekend. It was the Hurricanes, and the Hurricanes come to Auckland, not playing their best rugby. They admit that, but winning through experience. And for me, TJ Perenara has been the guy. Every team's got a guy. When you're winning, for me, he is their guy who has led them to where they are right now, and he's made the big plays, has had the big conversations during the games which have given them some sort of composure.
Yeah, well, he reminds me a lot of Sean Fitzpatrick. So if you're a Blues supporter, they would have had some discussions around some of the decision-making that the ref made, and some of them are questionable, especially around letting them get away with stuff. But that's pressure from a captain or a leader that's actually making the ref think about his decisions. I think he's done an outstanding job there. The interesting thing for me also about the Hurricanes was I'm getting sick of people stopping me, Mo'unga and Barrett. Mo'unga and Barrett, who do you think? Who's best? All that sort of stuff. Guy comes up to me after the game as I'm walking out and said, "Oh, Barrett wasn't that good tonight." And I said, "What?" I said, "Which game were you watching, mate?" You know, because Beauden Barrett is a big moment player.
So let's talk about them in context of last year. They've just got 4 games to go. There are the games in front of them. They've got the game against the Blues to finish off their season, and then they've got 3 South African sides. They go on the road. I look at them, and I look at them last year, and they went on that big early run. They won about 10 in a row, I think, and then they hit a wall, and then they didn't finish the season. How much is them about timing their run, KT, for the Hurricanes and getting momentum and maybe getting the likes of a Dane Coles back?
I actually think, like, the way they played in the weekend, as you said, Test match football, I actually think they stood up a lot more and they held their hand on their head on the defence. You know, they've got the most, well, one of the most potent attacks we know going along. I think the thing for them, yeah.
But it doesn't matter on your maths, if you've done the right maths, and we do trust your mathematics, they're in. They've got to get one more point.
Yeah, I know that. So, I get that. So what are we talking about?
I think we come back to it.
But are they continuing to win?
Yes, and that's where I come back. what they're doing is they knew that they were struggling, so they focused on simplicity. They focused on defence. They were a brilliant team, not the Hurricanes that we traditionally know and scoring fledge. They defended, they defended. I'm talking. It's all right. Just relax. They defended.
Really
and you know what? They
So I got you off on the wrong foot. I'm sorry.
They mentally ground down the Blues.
Okay,
And so that's how they win. So if I look at the Hurricanes, I go, this team was going to start creating momentum now because they're learning to win off simplicities, and they're scoring tries now at the end because they trust themselves.
The trouble with your comment was, and everyone keeps saying it, the Hurricanes aren't playing well. They've got 40 points. Who cares?
I just did say they didn't play well. I said they played well.
Arguing about the same thing.
I said they did play well, but they're not playing Hurricane traditional rugby.
Yeah.
Defensively, they played outstanding.
And
the
that's
Blues
on-
couldn't break them.
and it was
Marnona was over the line, and they still didn't get a try. That was the referee.
I'll support you on that. I'll support you on that because when they won their title, it was actually on the back of their defence.
Yeah.
They won their title 3 weeks in Wellington, and they were outstanding. So let's talk about the Chiefs now. We talk about the Chiefs and at the home against a Sharks team that almost beat the Crusaders. Let's talk about them and how good they were in the weekend. And we talk about what they don't have for the remainder of the season. They don't have Damien McKenzie. They will have Sam Cane. Maybe even this week. They'll probably have Brodie Retallick not too far away. Could they get their momentum? Could they find themselves in the conversation? They kept themselves in the conversation at the weekend. They come to Auckland to win.
They're right into this. I'll talk. They are right in this. They are building their momentum perfectly. What's your thoughts, JK?
Good throw. And he's going to say nothing. JK's already loaded.
No, I'd like for everyone just to not have, this Sky Dakota that you can replay this, but I was actually thinking the other night, I wanted to feel like the Chiefs supporters felt in the last couple of weeks, because we've been waiting for the Blues to show this grit and often we talk, when you're not from the Chiefs, and they talk about Blues mana, but Chiefs mana, I mean, they have just been so amazing in the last few weeks. I've been hearing out of the camp, because I spent a bit of time at Waihi Beach, which is Chiefs country. I'm trying to change that, but it's not working, that they don't care what happens for the season as long as they win this week, But to be fair, I sat back and I really admired the way that they actually just dug deep, and it wasn't pretty at times, but they got through this last 3 weeks and they're back in there. You think, God, we've written them off a few weeks ago.
So let's have a look at what they've got left, who they've got to finish off this season with KT. And down the bottom here, as you'll see it, the way that they have to approach it, they come and take the Blues, they've got the Reds, then they've got the Crusaders, which is difficult, but that is at home, and then they've got the Rebels. For me, 3 of those 4 are winnable.
Yeah, totally.
And if you put yourself in that picture and pick up bonus points, this is a Chiefs team for me. It has continued to impress me in adversity.
Oh, totally, especially with the amount of injuries they had, and they've had that for a number of years, and they just get that mentality. I think that's a team you don't want to play at the minute.
Correct.
They're just one of those sides, just like, nah.
Yeah, look, no, I've spoken nicely about them, Ali, but it still comes down to this weekend for both teams.
Yeah.
So whoever loses this week, gone.
And they're out in their history.
Gone.
And they're gone. Yeah, you're right. You are right. But who's more likely, even if they manage to get through this weekend, of pushing on, given the way they were playing?
The Chiefs are the ones that are building and bringing momentum in. If the Blues had carried on and won the Brumbies and nailed this Hurricanes game, we would be sitting here going, look at the Blues. But unfortunately, they've dropped, and, when Clifford doesn't play, the Blues are they're a different side. He's such a amazing human
love him,
being.
eh, Big Tom?
I love him, mate.
Big Tom.
What a champion. And so when he's not playing, they're a slightly different side. The Chiefs, it doesn't matter who's playing. At the end of the day, the Chiefs are creating backbone. I don't care how you play the game, but create backbone.
I think they started it the week before in Dunedin.
They
went down in Dunedin.
Smith was there.
Yeah, but when they were down in Dunedin, to me, they started it because they're down 16 points under the roof. Let's forget about that now. Let's talk about the Highlanders. That draw was disappointing. Then they had to play against the Jaguares team, who have been very good in 2019. And this was a game, it was a little bit controversial towards the end, but the Highlanders finally found a way, KT, to get the job done. And this was significant in relation to their season. They're doing it without Ben Smith. They're going to have to go on with that, but other guys stood up.
Yeah, I mean, Faddis was brilliant, wasn't he? And he stepped in for Bender. I mean, right, you're not going to replace a Bender, but you can sort of try and match there to a degree. And I think Faddis was absolutely outstanding. But I think they would have got the jitters in that second half, and the Jaguares started making their comeback. But the way they were able to absorb that and still get the win, I think, for them mentally, means a lot.
Are we excited in New Zealand rugby for the way that the Nines are playing? Aaron Smith and
Brad Webber, outstanding. Brad Webber's very good.
There's a competition in there in New Zealand rugby between our Nines, knowing that, you know, where our 10 stocks are at. These guys are standing up saying, hey, we can be just as pivotal as a 9 as a 10 is, like Piriwepa was in 2011. I just think it's exciting how the New Zealand players stand up, and Aaron Smith and TJ Perenard, to me, are leading the charge there.
Are they doing it a little bit differently down in Dunedin this year, though, in terms of the fact the way their forward pack is certainly competing in different areas? The fact they've scored a lot of long-range tries in the past, it seems as though they're sort of having to guts it out a bit more through the middle?
I think the biggest thing that I'm impressed about, I mean, one of the disappointing things for me last week when the Blues bench came on is they gave away 3 penalties and knocked the ball on twice, right? What's happening in the other franchises is when they're getting injuries, the guys are coming in and stepping up. You know, like the Highlanders, you think, who's that guy? And he steps in and does his job. And then they've got a couple of guys that have been under the radar that have just said, this is my chance, boom.
James Lynch is just one of those. Someone like who gets that opportunity.
Exactly.
When he hasn't been a guy who hasn't played a huge number of minutes, who's been in a competition himself. But they're having a lot of guys step up in this vein, Ali. And for me, there are a lot of young guys, but also a guy like Elliot Dixon, you know, who is in probably his last run maybe with the Highlanders, is heading offshore, who are making, you know what, we're making sure 2019 is going to count.
Pivotal guys, every team has pivotal people. And when pivotal people stand up, your team creates momentum. Elliot Dixon is one of those for the Highlanders, and he's playing very, very well.
I want to look at the fact that their last 4 games, 3 of the 4 against the African sides, they've got to go on the road, but they've got no derbies left. So when you talk about the way that they play, does that match up well with what they've got left? But they're probably going to have to win 3 of the 4 games.
These guys travel well.
Yeah.
The Highlanders have always travelled well. They love going on tour. They're the type of team that really, you know, revels in their own company, and I think they'll be fine on tour. I think they've got a sniff now and just bring it home.
They're going for civilization. That's why they travel so well. I mean, you get out of Dunedin. We love Dunedin on a Friday night or a Saturday night, but
usually you did both, to be fair. Friday and Saturday night. That's Dunedin, that's the Highlanders. Now we're going to talk about the 2-time defending champions, and what do we really need to say about them? The fact that we know that at the moment they're sitting at number 1, they are well clear of everybody else. What are the dangers for them?
Beating themselves.
Yeah.
And how could that happen? What could possibly do that?
I think there was a period midway through the first half of this season where they were incredibly accurate, unbelievably accurate. It was like watching often an All Black pack go. Great clean outs, everyone was doing their job, and I just think they've gone off the boil a wee bit.
I would say this. They would not want Richie Mo'unga, and I don't want anything to happen to Richie Mo'unga either.
Touch everything.
But the fact, yeah, exactly. But reality is, the 2 games he hasn't played, they've been very, very different. So you look what they've got in front of him: the Stormers, the Blues, the Chiefs, the Rebels. Then they got how perfect is it for them? Then they've got the bye to finish it off. You don't think it's perfect? They have a week off.
I've never seen a team go into the playoffs after a bye get rid of them. Yeah.
So here's a question. Their biggest fear could potentially be a guy by the name of Steve Hansen, who turns around and says to Razor, I need you to play him. I need you to start playing him, and I need you to start playing him. And basically creates...
He won't do that.
I don't have to talk if you don't want to. If you just say,
Most of the time,
but what I'm saying, you've got someone like Braydon Ennor that they want to play and they want to see if he's good enough.
Steve Hansen
Where's he
won't
going
do
to play?
that.
I'm just telling you what I feel is a threat.
Did that happen to you?
Not to me, because I
told him not to play him.
Don't play him. He's horrific.
Seriously,
actually, don't play him because then I'll justify him.
Seriously, Ali, I think Steve would possibly do that during the season, but not towards the playoffs.
I think they've managed their players brilliantly, but they've been in a position to manage their players. They've done it very, very well. Ali, you're done for the night. We were out. You've done all your talking. You got it, as always.
My words of wisdom are done here. Get the hell out of here, kid.
We'll ask you nicely before that other group get into you before we finish. Thanks, mate, as always. Well, our game continues to grow across New Zealand, and New Zealand Rugby are finding more and more ways to get more people involved.
We're at the Silverdale Rugby Club, and this is the start of the girls' Ripper season.
We've got 4 grades, which is the first time this year. So we've got under 9s, under 11s, under 13s and under 15s. These girls come from Mahu down to Northcote and right out to Massey. There'll be 510 girls at this venue across the morning, and it's awesome to see them all at one place. We started with a jump jab warm-up, so we think it's an awesome way to get the girls mingling with other teams and just a fun way to warm up. We also had our Harbour Hibiscus girls leading it, so they are hugely supportive of our young ones.
Really cool. It wasn't like this when I was young, so it's really cool to see all these girls out and enjoying the sport. Good to see the growth.
Non-contact rugby is ripper or quick rip, which is New Zealand Rugby's version of rugby without the tackle.
It's got all the elements of the important skills around rugby: run, catch, pass, evasion, defence, thinking about attack, bit of kicking as well, and the ball's up off the ground, which is pretty cool, so there's no work on the ground for the players.
The difference between touch and, say, ripper or quick rip is that when you make a touch, you have to go back 5 metres, but when you play ripper or quick rip and you make the rip, the offside line is at the rip.
When the player's been ripped with the ball in hand, they can keep moving, so there's a lot more continuity in the game.
So in quick rip, which is the progression on from ripper, we have scrums, line-outs and kicking. So it's a great progression for the girls' skills and leading into tackle if they want to do that later on.
We're really working hard on the girls having a more of a rugby type scrum, shoulder pressure, heads in the right position. So there's a scrum. If the ball goes out over the sideline, there's a line out. So there's 3 in a line out. It's really similar to a sevens line out, and it's a contest. So either team can win the line out.
I like playing with my team, making new friends. I'm learning because you can get the gist of how to play actual rugby. We get to play, do line-outs and scrums, and I like scoring lots of tries and doing rips.
In our community, North Harbour, we've worked pretty hard understanding why kids want to play the sport, and it's around fun, it's around being with their teammates, it's around learning skills. We see it's a way forward, giving the sport back to them. This gets bigger every year, so the participants are telling us that they want to play the game, which is cool, and we're just trying to keep pace with them at the moment. And yeah, it's been really a lot of fun.
Coming up, Black Ferns coach Glenn Moore and the new Ferns captain are live in the studio as we announce the 2019 Black Ferns squad.
Well, is there a hidden talent that's been waiting to come out all these years? No.
Hey guys, Elliot Dixon here from the Highlanders. I'm with Ash Dixon for the famous 5 forwards kick challenge. How do you reckon you're going to go?
Yeah, so I'm going to struggle today. There's a bit of a headwind I'm going to have to kick into. We'll see how we go, but yeah, we'll give it a good nudge.
Cheers guys, good luck mate.
Thank you.
Dan Carter with a wrong-footed kick, outrageous.
Go for it, Bus. I got it! Oh no! You nailed that!
Kind of just hit off the side.
Honestly, you smoked that.
Spencer. Oh, what a kick.
Give it a go, big man. Oh no! Oh no! Oh my god! Oh my god, he actually nailed it!
Vince with the droppy. Oh, it's over. Oh, it's over.
Good luck, big man. Hope the price is on the money. Oh! Oh no! He got it! He got it!
Stephen Donalds nails it. What pressure!
Ready? Oh yes! Thank you. I mean, oh no! Oh no!
Dragged it. Dragged my foot.
Yeah. Yeah, unlucky.
So, through for the game from the corner. Oh, a match winner from Aaron Cruden.
Oh, he's hit it well. Oh, to the right. Oh, that's he hit it.
This is
really
best
well.
he's struck all day.
You hit that perfect.
Wow.
Ash, 3 out of 5 today.
Yep, stoked with that, to be honest.
Yeah, happy with that?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, with the win today, it was pretty tough conditions, so
Yeah, there was challenging conditions. The tee wasn't ideal. It's quite low for what I'm used to. And there was quite a strong nor'easter that was into my face, but I'm really happy I followed through, kept my head down and managed to sink a few over.
Yeah, well done.
Thanks,
Good stuff, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Famous five. Talking a good game, Ash Dixon. Looking to see whether he ever gets an opportunity. I doubt it. I doubt it. Big moment for us here on the Breakdown in 2019. Great to have with us as we announce on behalf of New Zealand Rugby the Black Ferns for 2019. We know Glenn Moore's the head coach. What we don't know, what you know now, is that Les Elder is the new captain for 2019. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I did hear from you, though, that you found out last year and you've had to keep the secret until now.
Yeah, it did, yeah. I was just about to run on to play a Sevens game when I had the chat with GM.
So you did it before you were about to run onto the game?
Yeah.
What was your tactic? Run me through that. What was it? So,
I was just trying to assess whether she was mentally strong.
Or were you just trying to get it off your chest?
Yeah, I had to catch a plane.
To catch a plane. Well, let's talk about it. Obviously, 2018 was a big season, but 2019, 6 test matches in front of you. You've had a couple of camps. How challenging was it to put together this squad, and how much are you looking forward to this season?
Well, no, it was pretty challenging coming up with the final mix and, you know, challenged by a number of injuries that we've had as well. And, you know, we've had a good look at a lot of players. We've been working with around about 50 to 55 players since March with regular camps. And, you know, we've had a few hit-outs. We've played a North-South game and we've had a hit-out last weekend as well. And
that's a way to keep him happy. Bring up things like that from 30 years ago and he'll keep smiling.
I know him well.
You know him well. Yeah, it sounds as though you guys go way back. Well, Les, in your experience, the fact knowing coming into this responsibility, how excited are you about what's in front of you this year?
Yeah, I'm extremely excited. And I guess first off was just humbling. It was a very humbling moment and very honoured. But we've got a good mix of experience and youth coming through, and I'm pretty excited to see the mix come together.
Les, can I ask you, what type of leader do you think you are? You one that speaks with your actions on the field, or you like to bark out orders? Or
No, definitely not one to bark out, I hope. The girls will probably tell me if I am. But no, just based on, I mean, being led by a couple of great leaders, Fee and being in the Sevens with Gossie, I'd hope that actions lead better.
Look, 2019 is a huge season for the Black Ferns. 2018 had its challenges as well. Let's look back at the performances from last season.
Great occasion for this side. The Laurie O'Reilly Memorial Trophy. Cox edge, Smith, and now again numbers on the right, numbers to Burn on the right, and this time it'll be Salika Winiata. Now looking to open up, Walker with Winiata, this time it does go to Salika, she gives off to Whitcliffe on the corner, diving in, Renee Whitcliffe, spectacular. And here's Contra with her first touch, slips the ball to Letty Engel, she's been waiting out there, she's done the hard work, the debutante, Walker using her strength, Stacey Walker's in under the post.
Some familiar faces from 2018, 10 uncapped players in this squad now. Let's have a look at the forwards and we'll start. Eloise Blackwell, Fawn Birkin, Luca Connor, Les Elder, of course the captain who's with us tonight, Kali Faneva, Aldora Utuna, Philippa Love, Charmaine McMenamin, Toka Natua, Alicia Pearl Nelson, Jonah Nan Wu, Takura Nata Arangamate, Marcel Parks, Leilani Parise, Kennedy Simon, Charmaine Smith, Pia Tapsel, Horono Te Iringa, and Christo Tofa. Right, I got through it.
Well done.
Well done. Congratulations.
I remember last year it was the same amount of pressure. Look, OK, you talk about the squad. That's just the forwards right now. I mean, you've got a balance of experience and new players. I mean, as that group comes together, I mean, who are you excited about seeing an opportunity in the black jersey?
Oh, I think there's quite a number of those young ones that we've named. I wouldn't want to really single any of them out, but you know, over the months getting to now, that you know, they've really stood up, and we've obviously had a good look at them last year as well. We typically work with a wider group, and it was no different last year. Some of them have been in that environment. In the camps, they get to learn how it all rolls and what's expected of them. So when they transition in, it's reasonably smooth.
Coach, you talk. Oh, sorry, JK.
No, just incredible growth in the last few years in the women's game. Outstanding quality of play, and I think before you took over, there was a bit of a flat period, but it's been a real growth. I mean, a couple of things. Are you concerned about so many newcomers coming in with injuries and retirements? And where do you see sevens? I know in the male game now, you're getting specialists in sevens. It's naturally been you transform into 15s. I mean, is that starting to become a problem in the game where you're getting 7 specialists with 15 separate?
No, I don't think so, JK. I think one of the things that we really pride ourselves in is that Alan Bunting and his coaching team and myself and my coaching team, we have a lot of dialogue, and our focus is on growing the game, growing the depth in the game, and we'll make decisions around what we think's best for the game and for those individuals to make sure that we get momentum with them and grow a broader base. And it's no different through this process of naming this squad here. There's been a lot of conversations and open conversations with players that have been playing in both, and we think the strength is that we have to work together, and we'll continue to do that.
You're talking about building depth and building a squad, remembering this is the second year of contracted athletes. Les, how's that changed things, and how important is it you get players like Charmaine Smith, who have played a number of test mates, hasn't played a huge amount of rugby, but has had a lot of experience at the international level?
Oh, it's extremely important. I mean, she's come across from netball and brought with her a skill set that just transitioned in really well. For her, though, she's a quality athlete, and I think her biggest quality is her work rate and her work ethic on and off the field, so she's done really well.
Cap, I want to ask you, you played the French last year, tough, the English, and that you got them again this year. I mean, your full pack, what do you think needs to be able to do to compete with those ones? Because they're monsters up there, in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah, I think looking at our squad, though, we've got some monsters in there too. Yeah. So, the physicality that's been shown in the camps that we've had this year has been pretty impressive. And a lot of these young girls coming through, they're conditioned, they're built well, and they're confident and ready to go. And I'm excited to see them do their thing.
I guess for me, I know that you're female development officer or academy officer at the Bay of Plenty. What do you concentrate on when some of these new ladies are coming to the game? I reckon it's a big threat to netball and some of our other games, but that transition, is that hard? What do you teach them first off if they come from netball,
I guess a lot of them bring some of the natural footwork, and their awareness of space is quite natural. The biggest area is probably the contact area, and you probably find the ones that have had sort of farm upbringings and have handled sheep and things like that, they transition pretty well. But some of the other ones that haven't had a lot of contact, it's just building their confidence in that area of the game, teaching them to love it.
So when you thought about Les as being the captain of this side, obviously the way that she plays the game, and you're the person, the responsibility for that, how impactful is Les when she is out there, and what is it that you saw the strength to lead this side?
Oh, I think first and foremost she knows the game really well, and she's able to articulate that with the player group really well. She's very uncompromising and makes huge sacrifices to play the game. And I think the final thing for me was really she's got an ability to bring together a group of people and all for a common cause and actually help drive the best out of them. And so they're the qualities we've seen in her.
Well, you talk about culture, you talk about driving a team, you talk about Les having that responsibility. I'm sure this group, after what they learnt last year and push on to this season, can have great success. Let's now move forward and look at the backs. And this is your back squad for the 2019 season for the Black Ferns as we go through that. And we'll start from the top. Chelsea Alley, Kelly Brazier, Kendra Coxedge, Kristen Cottrell, Ruaha Dement, Teresa Fitzpatrick, Kala Hohepa, Aisha Letiianga, Ariahana Marino Tauhinu, Natalia Moores, Elena Saili, Renee Wycliffe, Salika Winiata, Grace Brooker, Kiritapu Demont, and Kiliasetina Motuane. So there it is. There's your team. There's your squad for 2019. And so in terms of the backs, a lot of experience there, a lot of balance, and some players who have come across from sevens. And he put you in it there, JK. He asked you questions about the sevens, and then all of a sudden you couldn't talk about them. But nice to have that balance.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's something that certainly leading into the World Cup, and from that point on, we've typically had 2 or 3 of the sevens girls playing, and you know, they bring a wealth of knowledge, also experience with dealing with big moments, and you know, that's important to us. It's something that we focus on a lot, is being able to deal with those big moments, and you know, so they bring a lot there, and obviously players like Kelly Brazier and that very seasoned campaigner, awfully skillful, and you know, a real calm head, and she can certainly play. So look, and I think when you look at the rest of the backs, it's got some experience there. It's well complemented with some good size and pace, and you know, some of those young kids that we're bringing in here are going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah, we've been watching from a distance, and I just think the extra exposure has, you know, been fantastic for the women's game. But we've noticed a big change in the athlete and the way they play. I mean, you're on the inside. What are you noticing are the biggest advances in the women's game, and who's the next opposition? Because some of the traditional, you know, nations like America are very strong with their female game, but you know, the biggest changes you've seen, and who's a big threat out there?
Well, I think first and foremost for us, we've had to change our conditioning. You know, we've got some really big, strong athletes here, and you know, we want to make them bigger and stronger, and you know, you're seeing that change in the athletes that are playing for the likes of Canada, States, the French team, the English team, are all really big packs, and you know, so we've got to be conscious of that, and you know, we focus on being able to play the game at high pace and with high skill levels, and but we also want to be in the physicality side of it too, and you know, I think probably one of the biggest areas that we've got to continue to develop is around our scrummaging. And, you know, in doing that, it's about getting competition too, you know, so the more competition we have, where we're exposing that, the better.
Do you think also an area, and I know you spoke about trying to play the game at speed and what have you, is our kicking game?
Yep. Yeah, that's one of our focuses in our development area is definitely that. And, you know, we had clear visions when we were playing at the World Cup, as an example. You know, with a player like Victoria Nafatali, who could kick the ball as far as a guy can kick the ball, and you know, so we would do that intentionally so that when we got it back, we had an immediate gain of 20 odd metres, and we wanted that to play with. So you know, it's somewhere where we are working on, and we're trying to continue to develop that. You know, we're bringing kicking coaches in, and we'll continue to do that.
Liz, just what are some of the young ladies coming into the game saying to you? Why are they coming to rugby now? Why have we got this big talent pool?
Well, I think just the great work that a lot of the people are doing out in the provincial unions, and obviously directed from New Zealand Rugby to provide opportunities for girls to play at all ages and to play against other girls. And then naturally you've got athletes coming across from other codes who see future career opportunity and opportunities to play at World Cups and make a living out of this, and also play at the Olympics. So it's really encouraging for them.
Do you think it's made a difference being a co-made event like with the All Blacks, like what happened with Eden Park last year, having it again this year?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's obviously for us, growing up, the All Blacks and the Black Ferns were huge role models for us. So to be able to play a double header with the All Blacks that's a dream come true.
And you've had to pick a big squad, and you've got a couple of niggles, you said before we went on, at the moment you're trying to cover with, but what you have coming up is challenging. You are playing a number of games with short turnarounds.
Yeah, so we're back to playing this next test series it's like a tournament base again, so you know, 4-day turnarounds, and we're playing against you know, the 4 big hitters in the world other than ourselves, and you know, that's always challenging, and we're lucky we've got some key people in our coaching staff, like the Jamie Touts and that have got a lot of knowledge and expertise around you know, the scientific part of measuring where our recovery in that is, and you know, we put a big emphasis on that.
Coach, I know you've been screaming out for games, and tournament like this, I mean, how big is that for you and your program?
Oh, it's massive for us. Yeah, no, we need these games, and you know, I'd like to think next year there'll probably be more games. And you know, I think we're seeing a lot of momentum behind the women's game, and you know, I find it interesting also as we're seeing a lot of interest out in the public for these players to be out doing stuff in the communities and in businesses, and they do that work with a lot of sincerity, which is really encouraging.
Well, it's a big season's in front of you. We've seen it there. Congratulations on being the new captain. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing what happens here in 2019. As you say, you're up against the best, and Australia, the Wallaroos. They continue to improve and were better in 2019. Plenty of talent on show, of course, across the globe. There's plenty of talent here at home. It's time now to look at our Superstars competition here with Sky. And let's have a look at the top 3 from the last weekend.
This week in our Super Rugby Superstars competition top 3, Holly Russell is 12 years old and plays on the wing for the Silverdale J2 Gold. Though she's playing in Auckland, she supports the Hurricanes. 14-year-old Kelly Tautarangi playing for Silverdale Under-15 Girls Quick Rip. Kelly supports her local team, the Blues. Connor Beasley captains his Marist St Michael's Under-9s team in Rotorua. Being from the Bay, he's all about Chiefs mana.
Well, there has to be a winner, and Les is going to announce who the winner is of our Superstars competition from last weekend.
Cool, so our winner is 10-year-old Lincoln Ropatini from the Under-11s Whakarewerua Club in Rotorua. He aspires to be an All Black like his role model, Bowden Barrett.
That's not a bad role model to have.
Lincoln, well done.
Great feat.
Yeah, hard out.
Shot, mate.
There we go.
Nice work.
Yeah, all good. I mean, you look at the talent's there. Look at terms and conditions. There they are at the bottom. Go to www.superrugby.co.nz/superstars. Well, let's go now and catch up with Steph. Let's look at our notice board, what's been happening around social media as well.
Yeah, so on the notice board this week, we've got a few more deals happening for the games this weekend. So first up, the Hurricanes are playing the Jaguares, and it is club night, which means you can get $15 adult tickets in the bronze zone. And there's also Blues playing the Chiefs. Now that's half price for your other half. How romantic would that be for a date night, to take your other half to see the Blues play the Chiefs? And then we also have on the notice board this week, the Deaf Blacks are playing the Argentina Deaf. They are playing a few games to the end of May through till the 1st of June. So if you're keen to head along to those games, all of the information is on the website nzdrfu.org.nz.
Thanks, Steph. As always, our notice board very, very busy. Thank you so much once again. So much. JK, as always. KT, welcome.
Yes.
Fantastic with us. You've survived.
Yes.
No one left. Les, once again, congratulations. Glenn, thank you very much. Thank you to New Zealand Rugby for being part of our program once again. We will see you in 7 days' time. There's always plenty to talk about on The Breakdown. And watch the kickoff if you feel like it.